Hey guys, so let's continue with our chapter 5 lecture. We will continue talking about the time value of money. So let's recap. The time value of money, as I mentioned, is the most fundamental and the most important concept in finance. What is the time value of money? It's the concept that money available at the present time is worth more than the identical sum in the future due to its potential earning capacity. Why? Because if you receive $1 today, you can reinvest it for 1 year and in 1 year have more than you had originally. So let's continue with that. Last time we talked about the future value and the way we can find the future value of some present amount. For that, we used the formula which said that the future value equals to the present value multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate raised to the power of t, or the number of compounding periods. For your problems, you can either use the formula or you can use your financial calculator. In your financial calculator, every time you work with the time value problems, you will use the following 4 keys. These 4 keys are the number of compounding periods, interest per year, present value, and future value. Knowing any 3 inputs, you can find the 4th one. So last time we talked about how we can find the future value of some present amount. So today we will talk about different other inputs that we can find using the time value of money concept. So let's talk about the present value. What is the present value? The present value is simply the current value of future cash flows discounted at the appropriate discount rate. So previously, if we had a timeline and we knew how much we invested at the beginning, knowing the interest rate and the number of periods, we could find some future value of this present amount. Now, if we would like to know the present value, if we don't know it, but we would like to find it, knowing the future amount, knowing the interest rate and the number of periods, we can find our original present value. So the present value problems, in other words, they try to answer the following question: how much do I have to invest today to have some certain amount in the future? How do we find the present value? It's very easy. Using our formula for the future value, we simply can rearrange some terms and get our present value formula. So simply by rearranging the future value formula, we can find the present value. So the present value will equal to the future value divided by 1 plus the interest rate raised to the power of the number of compounding periods, or t. So when we would like to know what the present value is, we are essentially doing the discounting. So initially when we knew the present value and we would like to know the future value, we were doing what was known as compounding. Now, since we know the future value and we would like to know the present value, we will be doing discounting, or we are discounting back our future amount to today's dollars. So again, when we talk about discounting, we mean finding the present value of some future amount. So for example, I would like to know how much $110 received in the future will be worth today if we are investing for 1 year and the interest rate is $10. And the answer using this formula would be simply $100. Now let's look at a couple of examples. Suppose you need $10,000 in 1 year for the down payment on a new car. If you can earn 7% annually, how much do you need to invest today? Again, you can approach any problem using either the formula or your financial calculator. If we want to use the formula, we will use the formula from the previous slide where we would divide our some future amount. We will divide it by 1 plus the interest rate raised to the power of the number of compounding periods. So using that formula, we can find that the present value is equal to $9,345.79. or you can use your financial calculator. In your financial calculator, you need to enter 1 as the number of years, 7 as the interest rate, $10,000 as your future value, and when you press the PV button, the present value, you should get negative $9,345.79. Now remember the sign convention. If you're dealing with investing, then your present value should always be with a negative sign, and your future value will be with a positive sign. If you're dealing with borrowing, then you will enter your present value as a positive number, and your future value will be with a negative sign. So let's move on. Now, our simple example from the previous slide dealt only with one period. We were investing for 1 year. Does the formula change if we are investing for multiple years? Not really. It doesn't change at all. The formula is the same for multiple periods. It is simply our present value that will equal to future value divided by 1 plus the interest rate raised to the power of t. Let's look at an example. You want to begin saving for your daughter's college education, and you estimate that she will need $150,000 in 17 years. If you feel confident that you can earn 8% per year, how much do you need to invest today? Again, using our simple formula, we can find it, and it will equal $40,540.34. So today, you need to invest a little over $40,000 so that in 17 years, your daughter will have $150,000 for her college education, provided that your investment can earn 8% per year. Using your financial calculator, you can find the same answer much quicker. So you enter 17 as your number of years, interest rate as 8%, future value as $150,000, and once you click or press the PV button, you should get negative $40,540.34. As we walk through these problems, feel free to pause the video and work these problems on your calculator. This is essential because, as I mentioned many times in class, the more problems you work on your financial calculator, the more confident you will be using this calculator in the future. And throughout the semester, we will be using your calculator almost every lecture. For every homework assignment, you will need to know how to use your calculator. Now let's work on another problem. Your parents set up a trust fund for you 10 years ago that is now worth $19,671.51. If the fund earned 7% per year, how much did your parents invest today? Again, using our present value formula, we can find that your parents invested $10,000 10 years ago. Using your financial calculator, again, we press 10 as we enter 10 as the number of years, interest as 7, future value as 19,671.51. We press the PV button and we get $10,000. If you forgot how to enter the sequence of entering keystrokes on your financial calculator, just as a reminder, first thing you need to do, you need to press the gold key and then see all or cancel all. It will clear the register from all of the previous problems that you were working on. Then you press 10 as number of years, and then you press the button N. Then you enter 7, then you press interest per year, then you enter this number, then you press FV or future value button. Then finally you just press the PV button and it should give you the answer of $10,000. Hopefully it was helpful. Next, There are two important relationships that you need to keep in mind when dealing or thinking about present value problems. So the first important relationship is that for a given interest rate, the longer the time period, the lower the present value. For example, what is the present value of $500 to be received in 5 years and in 10 years? Suppose the discount rate is 10%. Using our formula for the case of 5 years or a financial calculator, we can find that the present value is $310.46. What about if our investment period was longer, 10 years? We enter the same keystrokes or use the same formula, except that now we're dealing not with 5 years but with 10 years. What is our present value? Our present value is actually much lower. It's $192.77. So again, the longer the time period that you invest, the lower the present value. The second important relationship concerns the time period for which you are investing. The relationship says, for a given time period, the higher the interest rate, the smaller the present value. For example, what is the present value of $500 received in 5 years if the interest rate is 10% and if the interest is 15%? So for our 10%, we either use the formula or enter the keystrokes on our calculator. Our present value is $310.46. What if our interest rate was actually larger? Well, it was not 10% but 15%. We use either our formula or the financial calculator, and what we get $248.59. So again, the higher the interest rate, the smaller the present value. A very important relationship to keep in mind. These two relationships that I just mentioned, please remember those, because you will see something similar, some similar problems on your first exam. Okay, we'll skip that. Now let's work on the discount rate. So often we will want to know what the implied interest rate is on an investment. For example, you know how much money you have today, you know how much money you would like to have, let's say, in 5 years. So your next question is, how much interest do I need to earn on my present money that I have today, so that in 5 years I will have a certain amount that I have in mind? How do we find the answer to this question? Again, simply by rearranging our future value formula or the time value formula. Rearranging the terms and solving for the interest rate, we can find that the interest rate or implied interest rate or discount rate equals to the future value divided by the present value raised to the power of 1 over t, our number of compounding periods, minus 1. So you can also use the financial calculator to find that, as long as you know the future value, present value, number of investing periods. Once you enter this information into your calculator and press R, you'll be able to find the implied interest rate. One important thing to keep in mind here is that you need to make sure that you enter either the future value or the present value with a negative sign, according to investing borrowing logic that we talked about on Tuesday. If you don't do that, if you enter both of these numbers as positive numbers or you enter them both as negative numbers, the calculator will display an error and you will not be able to get the correct answer for your implied interest rate. So again, make sure that either your future value or present value are entered with a negative sign. If you are investing, it means that in time 0, your present value will be a cash outflow for you, because you are investing. You're actually putting money in the bank, so you're departing with your money. So it's a cash outflow. So you will enter it with a negative sign, meaning that your future value, in the future, you will take back your deposit. So it will be your cash inflow, and it will be displayed on your calculator or on your timeline with a positive sign. If you are borrowing, it means that you get money today, so your present value will be with a positive sign. You borrow today, it means that in the future you will have to pay back whatever you borrowed plus the interest. So in the future, your future value, either in your financial calculator or on a timeline, will be displayed with a negative sign. So please, when you work on problems that involve the interest rate, make sure that either of these is entered with a negative sign. Let's look at an example. You're looking at an investment that will pay $1,200 in 5 years if you invest $1,000 today. What is the implied rate of interest? You can use the formula to find that, or you can use your financial calculator. Using the formula, we find that the implied interest rate is 3.714%. Using our financial calculator, we enter 5 as the number of years, present value as $1,000, our future value as $1,200. We press the interest rate and we get 3.71%, precisely the same answer as was found by us using the formula. Next one. Suppose you are offered an investment that will allow you to double your money in 6 years. You have $10,000 to invest. What is the implied rate of interest? Again, using the formula, you know that your $10,000 investment will be doubled in 6 years, meaning that your future value, your FV, is 20,000. So we divide our 20,000 by our 10,000 present value, raise it to the power of 1 over 6, minus 1, we get 12.25%. What about our calculator? Again, number of investment or compounding periods is 6, future value 20,000, present value negative 10,000 because we're investing, it's a cash outflow for us today. Our interest rate is 12.25%. Next example. Suppose you have a 1-year-old son and you want to provide $75,000 in 17 years towards his college education. Today, you have $5,000 to invest. What interest rate must you earn to have $75,000 when you need it? Using either our formula or our calculator, we find that the interest that we need to earn is 17.27%. Now, what's good about this problem is it's a great example to illustrate how you can set realistic financial goals for you. Why? Because the problem says that you need to earn 17.27% per year on your investment of $5,000 for the next 17 years, so that your son will have $75 towards his education. The problem is 17.27% of interest per year is a very unrealistic number. Historically, the stock market over the past 100 years has provided between 8 and 11% annual return average. So, and the problem says that to be able to reach your goal, you need to earn 17, almost double that number. So, what does it mean? It means that either you should have started saving for college before your son was born, so that the money on your account would be earning money for a longer period at the rate of 8 to 11% per year, or it means that you need to invest more money today so that you will be able to reach your goal. quick test. Let's look at a problem here. You're offered the following investments. You can invest $500 today and receive $600 in 5 years. The investment is considered low risk. Or you have another option. The second option says you can invest the same $500 in a bank account paying 4%. Now question, which of these two investments is a better choice for you? How do we compare them? Well, first of all, we know that to compare them, we need to know the implied interest rate or the interest rate that these investments are paying. For the second one, we know that it pays 4%. For the second one, we don't know what the implied interest rate is, but we can easily find it using either the formula or our financial calculator. So if we use our financial calculator, we use the number of years or number of compounding periods as 5, present value negative 500, future value 600, press the interest rate. We want to compute the interest rate. We get 3.714%. Now we can now knowing the implied interest rate for our first investment, we know that the second investment is better because it pays 4% versus 3.714%. So if you want to invest, the second option of these two options is a better choice to invest. Now, how would the decision be different if you were looking at borrowing $500 today and either repaying at 4% or repaying $600? Now that you are borrowing, you know that if you were borrowing some money, you have to pay interest for the use of this money. And the lower the interest you pay, the better. So if you were borrowing, of the two options that we have here, the first one would be much better because you will be repaying lower interest rate, 3.714 versus 4%. Finally, so we have our time value of money concept. We looked at the formula that uses the future value, present value, number of compounding periods, and the interest rate to find any of these 4 inputs. We already looked at ways of finding 3 of the 4 inputs. The final input that we can find is the number of compounding periods. How can we find it? Again, using our same old equation, just by rearranging some terms, we can solve for the number of compounding periods for t. So t in our case will be the natural logarithm of future value divided by the present value divided by the natural logarithm of 1 plus r. I recommend using the financial calculator for finding the number of compounding periods just because it's a little bit time-consuming process of finding the number of compounding periods. Let's look at an example. You want to purchase a new car and you are willing to pay $20,000. If you can invest at 10% per year and you currently have $15,000, how long will it be before you have enough money to pay cash for the car? We can either use our formula, plug in the numbers for the future value, present value, and 1 plus the interest rate of 10%, and solve it and get 3.02 years. Or we can use our financial calculator. We enter 10 as our interest rate, future value as $20,000, present value as negative $15,000, and number of compound periods. And once we press the button, we'll get 3.02 years. Just like with the interest rate, it's very important that you enter your present value and future value with the correct sign, either negative or positive. One of these two should be with a negative sign. Let's look at another example. Suppose you want to buy some new furniture for your family room. You currently have $500 and the furniture you want costs $600. If you can earn 6% interest, how long will you have to wait if you don't add any additional money? Using you can use either the formula or the calculator to enter the information that you know from this problem. If you use the calculator, our present value is negative $500, so we're putting it into a bank that will pay 6% interest. I know that I want to get $600 eventually. How long do I need to hold my money on this account? I need to hold it for 3.13 years. I will get the same answer by using either the calculator or the formula. There are many financial calculators available online. You can go to Investopedia website, or you can Google for a financial calculator to see how they work. The financial calculators work online. You can work on the following example. The answer you should get is displayed here. And finally, these are the formulas that you need to know for this chapter. The most important symbol convention and the formulas that you will need to use. That's it for today's lecture. I hope you guys found it useful. Thank you for your attention.